In this video, we're going to go over how to set up and effectively tune a drum kit. What you will need is the standard drums that come with your drum kit, and that usually consists of a 10-inch tom, a 12-inch tom, a 16-inch floor tom, and a 22-inch bass drum. The kit will also usually come with hi-hats, a crash cymbal, and a ride cymbal. You will also need the extra equipment like the kick pedal, drum throne, cymbal stands, and holders for the drums. The most important item needed is going to be a standard drum key, which is crucial in tuning the drums since it is the only tool that can complete the job. To start the process, grab your 14-inch snare drum. Start by loosening all the lugs of the drum till there is no tension. Then you will finger tighten each lug till you feel enough tension where it gets difficult to finger tighten. Now, the snare drum I'm using is an 8-lug drum, and to tune it, you will need to follow a certain pattern. Start by tightening the top drum lug by a half turn with the drum key. Switch to the lug on the opposite side of the drum and tighten a half turn as well. From that lug, skip over 2 to the right and tighten that lug. Move to the opposite lug and repeat the process till all the lugs have been turned twice. Note that it is crucial if you overturn or underturn, as this will cause the tension of the head to be uneven, leaving an inconsistent sound of the drum. Flip the snare drum over and make sure you can loosen the snares enough to a point where you can insert a drumstick between the drum head and the snares. You want to make sure the stick goes over the rim of the drum, since this will allow a clean tone of the drum without any tension from the snares. Repeat the 8-lug process that was used to tune the top head, opposite, and skip 2 to the right. Repeat twice again, and this time it's important to make sure the tuning is equal by tapping the head right next to the lug to make sure the tension is the same. If the note sounds higher pitch, that means it's too tight and needs to be loosened a teeny bit. If it sounds too low, maybe tighten it a little bit. Moving on to the 10-inch tom, repeat the process of tuning the snare drum, except this tom I use is a 6-lug tom. It is quicker to tune since the pattern to tune has one modification. Instead of skipping 2 lugs to the right, we only skip 1. Repeat the process for the underhead of the drum and make sure tension is even if needed. Next, we have the 12-inch tom, which is essentially the same process as the 10-inch tom, just a bigger drum. It is also a 6-lug drum, making it quick to tune like the 10-inch tom. Just repeat the process like we did before. The next drum, the 16-inch floor tom, can get a little awkward because of the size, but tuning is not that different than the previous toms. Again, the floor tom I use in the video is a 6-lug drum, which, you know the drill. Repeat the tightening twice and flip and repeat. Now, the bass drum. Throughout the video, I use drum felts to keep track of which lug has been turned. This is not required, but it is helpful, especially if you are tuning a large drum such as the bass drum or an 18-inch drum. This bass drum has 8 lugs, so we will switch back to the skip 2 lug pattern. This drum is especially important on making sure tension is even, so tap the head with a stick if needed. Now, let's set up the drum kit. Make sure the foot pedal is at the center of your drum carpet. You want there to be enough room for all the toms and cymbals around the kick pedal, especially if you want to add equipment later on. When you find a comfy position that leaves enough room, Mark the edge with a Sharpie for reference the next time you have to set up the kick pedal. Attach the bass drum to the pedal and make sure to mark the legs of the drum with a Sharpie for reference for the future. This is a more in-depth look at how to exactly tighten and attach the pedal to the drum. Just tighten the screw. The next step is to set up the snare stand. Grab your stand that came with the kit and spread out the legs and make sure to tighten each knob on the stand to a basic position. Then, grab your drum throne and adjust to where you are comfortable enough to kick the bass drum pedal without touching the snare stand with the drum on it. Now, when you've found the comfortable enough position, mark the bottom of the drum throne with the Sharpie, as well as the snare stand with the Sharpie. Now, onto attaching the toms. Grab the included tom holder that came with your kit and insert it into the top hole in the bass drum. Then, tighten the screw to ensure it stays in place. To attach the 10-inch tom to the holder, insert the peg of the holder through the hole of the screw on the tom. Don't worry about making it perfect, we will get to that later. Then, tighten the screw to make sure it stays attached. Repeat for the 12-inch tom. Now, the floor tom is independent from the bass drum, so all that is required is to attach the legs that came with the kit to the floor tom. Feed the leg through the hole of the screw like shown and tighten the screw. You want the floor tom to tilt downwards toward you by about 10 degrees, very slight. Position close enough to the 12-inch tom to where there is no awkward long reach between the drums. Now, adjust the drums as needed. You want no awkward gaps between any of the drums, and you want them tilted towards your head about 30 degrees down from parallel. Watch as I adjust to what is comfortable, making sure the heights are even and there's no awkward spacing. Now from here, you want to just practice moving around the kit. Practice some fills as I do, making sure there's no awkward spacing between the drums, make sure everything flows smoothly. Now I put emphasis on drum fills because these will be affected by the space of the drums the most, especially when doing more complex stuff. And if you haven't already, remember to mark with a Sharpie the legs of the floor tom for reference next time. Now, onto the cymbals. Starting with the hi-hat stand, place to where there is a comfortable position to the left of the snare drum, where your foot rests comfortably on the pedal. I like to make a V with my legs as this ensures no awkward hip placement in the future. Spread the legs out, tighten to a position where the hi-hats will be about a few inches above the snare drum, and mark with a Sharpie on the carpet. Now onto the stands for the ride cymbal and the crash cymbal. Now my kit came with a 22-inch ride cymbal and a 16-inch crash cymbal. This is not quite the standard, as having a second crash would be. I included, for the sake of the video, a second crash to show the correct placement. Set up the stands like so, with one for the ride between the 12-inch tom and the floor tom, and then one to the right of the floor tom, which would be the second crash, and one between the snare and the 10-inch tom. That's the first crash. We will correct adjustments later. Now, to set up the hi-hats, we'll start with the bottom one. Look on each cymbal for a top label and a bottom label. When you found the bottom, insert the bottom cymbal through the pole of the stand like so it rests at the bottom. The hi-hat stand should already come included with a felt piece attached to the bottom of the stand, but if there is not, insert one on the bottom like shown in the video. For the top cymbal, there is a little more work. With the hi-hat stand, you will find a screw and a bolt. The purpose of these are to ensure the top cymbal is attached to the main pole of the stand, ensuring it can be pulled with the foot pedal. Feed the screw through the hole at the top of the cymbal and then tighten the bolt on the underside with the screw. Note that it is crucial for all of the cymbals to be touching felt at all times, since this ensures the sound will ring properly. To attach the top cymbal to the stand, feed the pole through the hole of the cymbal, and make sure there is about a 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch space between the two hats. Now, tighten the screw to the pole and we have an operable hi-hat stand. Now, just quickly throw on the rest of the cymbals to their appropriate stand. Don't worry about exact angles, we'll adjust that in a second. From this point in the video, it is half preference, half required. Starting with the ride cymbal, make sure it is close enough for you to comfortably complete strokes while not hitting anything else, but making sure it is also not too far away. The ride cymbal should be declined to about 20 degrees as we want it almost flat starting out. This ensures even strokes while doing intricate patterns on the ride. It is also crucial to make sure that you can still complete drum fills on the toms with no obstruction. Moving on to the first crash, I repeat the process. However, this cymbal can be tilted to about 40 degrees if preferred. It is also helpful for this crash to be higher up since it makes a comfortable spot when moving between the hi-hat, snare, and the 10-inch tom. Ensure that the cymbal is tilted towards you, making even strokes each time and not inconsistent ones. Last but not least, the second crash. This crash is typically hit at the end of a drum sequence or fill and should be placed a little higher than the ride, ensuring there is no collision between the cymbals. You want the crash at about 30 degrees facing towards you since it isn't as high up as the first crash. And again, ensuring that there is no awkward angle when completing a fill. Notice throughout the video how I am practicing drum fills and hitting at the end.